Hello again, Steve here with a conversation about a lesson in logic. Now, I would say for the Inner Genie project, logic is extremely important because we have to be able to sift through the chaff and the wheat in life, don't we? To decide what's best for us, what's best for our loved ones as far as we can see in the moment. But I think to do this, if we have a fog in front of us, it's harder to see what's over there, right? But if we have an open mind and put aside our preconceived notions when we go forward, not easy. I think we all fall prey to that. But at least if we start with that agreement with ourselves, that we're going to do our best to see through the fog of whatever our preconceived notions are, then it's easier to see. I'm going to use the example here, which has been in the news lately in this area that I live, which is Justin Trudeau arbitrarily, it appears anyways, because there's no logical justification for it, of course. Through the cloud of ideology, there is justification, but I'm going to get to that. He decided to prohibit 1,500 different kinds of guns from people. And these are property that people own. So he's going to have to use... How is he going to take those guns? He's going to have to use guns, right? It's the only way... That's the threat, is with guns, to take the guns. Now, I would say that if you look at this, there shouldn't be surprised, because I was going to call this video, Who Else is Surprised that Justin Trudeau is taking the guns? But that would sound like just like another political chat, right? It's just using something that's in the media that is political, of course, to make a point that it's important for us to see through the cloud of our preconceived notions, which we can call whatever, right? Now, I don't vote in the political system. And the reason I don't is because, to me, it's illegitimate. The entire thing is illegitimate because all the political systems that we have in the world are right that people believe that other people can do that we can't do. We have pejoratives for theft called taxation and other sorts of, levies and all kinds of things. We have these supplanted names in for what they are. But what it is basically is that we say that even if we don't call it theft, even if we call it taxation, do we as individuals claim within our mind that we have the right to tax our neighbor? Well, no, we'd say we don't. But we can somehow, this is the illogicalness of it, we somehow think that we have the right to give that power to somebody else to do it. Right? We can give the right that we don't have to Justin Trudeau to do it. Well, that's not logical, right? Because we cannot give what we don't have. So, if we think that, though, if we think that we can, if we think we can outsource our thievery to somebody else, then what we really are is thieves. And it's a very hard thing to admit. This is another one of those fog of perception things. We have preconceived notions that we have to get beyond. And sometimes we have to admit that we've been very wrong for a very long time. And this is a very big challenge for many people, right? For many of us. But I would say, my question is, who else is surprised that he would take the guns? After all, that's his ideology, that nobody should have guns except him, because of course, I've walked past his house, and there's armed guards roaming around. I mean, he believes in guns. He believes that guns are very important for his protection, but of course, he doesn't believe that they're important for your protection. But why would people be surprised that somebody that deranged to believe that he has a special right not only to the use of guns, but to be able to take for you and to give to others, that he would take something else? I mean, it's like, the village thief is going around and he's only stealing gold. And then one day the village runs out of gold, so he switches to silver, and everybody's like, oh my God, he's stealing the silver now. I never thought he would do that. I thought he was virtuous with regards to silver. But no, it's not surprising, because somebody that corrupted, somebody who is fundamentally corrupted, who is supported by millions of very corrupt people, well, if he's got to hit the opportunity to do what he wants to do, he's going to do it. And what better time to do it when there's a crisis? And who knows what the shooting in Nova Scotia was, but I don't know. Looks kind of odd. That's getting into politics, perhaps. But no, I think it's important. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a tear here with ideology and so on, because a lot of times, and I know people like this, who are great conversation, very decent people and so on, and they have as their ideology a religion. And their reasoning has to comport with that. It's like if there's some sort of a fog, that fog has to be there. So we have to sort of figure out what's in the fog, rather than clearing the fog or wait until the fog clears to see what it actually is, right? And I see this over and over and over again, even with very intellectual writers like, Thomas Aquinas and stuff like that. It's like they're starting with a presupposition that this is true, even though it's completely irrational, and then working from there. So it's that's why it can become so contorted, because you're already starting with a presupposition that you cannot point to as true or prove to anybody. It's just taken as fact, and you have to start from there. So you have to have all these mental contortions, which ends up being very, very complicated. And so, whatever you call it, it could be, but I think morality and ethics is something different, because those things are just things we've agreed to for ourselves, that are not only logically consistent, but they're also prohibitions against ourselves. And that's different than having a belief in a certain deity or a certain communist ideal or something like that, which then has to be supported no matter what, right? And of course, because when that's the case, all logic has to comport to that. And the problem with that is everybody realizes, they understand, you can see it in people's faces. They know that they cannot make it work. So they have to resort to ad hominems and other kind of distractions, or changing the subject or whatever it is, because by saying, oh, you think too much or something like that. I think this is important for us, because it's not so important for us to say everybody else is doing it. It's important for us to realize that we are doing it. And it's not only and when we realize that we are doing it, we can then begin to take what a friend of mine says, that scrutinizing squint at what it is that we're trying to get through. And even when we're trying to organize our business affairs, our relationship affairs, and so on, if we're blinded by something that we will not drop, then it's harder for us to see the opportunities to break through into better solutions, perhaps. And I think people's beliefs in, governments and ideologies and religions and all this sort of thing, they're just part of the multiplicity of what it is that we as human beings build up as sort of our package, if you will, the lens through which we see the world. But it's usually quite a foggy lens, because if we don't allow ourselves to at least momentarily drop the preconceived notions, the ideologies, and so on, we're never going to have a clear logical analysis of what we're looking at. And I think that's extremely important, because not only is our thinking important to be logical, but our actions are important to be logical, to have maximum success, maximum virtue, and maximum happiness in the end. Satisfaction in what it is that we're doing. What do you think? Does this make sense? Does this make logical sense? Great chatting again, once again. Steve here. Please comment in the box below, like, subscribe, and share, and all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you another day. Bye-bye for now.